I need to deodorize. It's probably got like 5 more swipes left. That is something that has astounded me as years have gone on, is the technology for air refresheners in a car. I think that is a I'd say I think that's a honed business where these things don't really last super long. I will say this has been open for a few weeks, still has a wild cherry scent to it, pretty faint, but it's definitely one of those things where now, Febreze has jumped in and other companies with other variations of this, which they do look cool. The ones where you can attach to the vents and you can see like the liquid there, different colors for different scents. I am fascinated to learn though, are there strategies of like, when you hold out a bar of soap, sometimes you get a nice bar of soap for your birthday or Christmas. And if you haven't used it in a while because you're going through other soaps and body washes, you notice that the scent lasts a long time. So maybe that's why it's not its own business brand, is because maybe that's the shortcut, is that you buy a nice bar of soap, and you just tape it onto your cardboard, and there you go. Just put it right up on front, or put it next to your glove compartment. just put it on the deck there, and now you got a nice, freshly scented coffee car. There are like those like kind of coffee soaps, which can be great. I've talked about in the past how important it is to have good music. And I mean, not just in video games, obviously going out with your friends or watching a good movie, but in this case, again, in video games and how much it matters. And, the impact that a good soundtrack has for card games, like Pokemon Trading Card Game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Worldwide Edition on Game Boy Advance, which also used a lot of music from Eternal Duelist Soul. And I sit there and I go, whoa, they wrote music that never gets old, and it's for playing cards. Well, another case is I've realized how impactful really catchy RPG common enemy fight music is. And it to me, it goes back to Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. That was one of the first instances where the dance music was so catchy and so addictive, it got me to constantly look forward to common fights. And it's not that I got ever tired of common fights in RPGs. There is a common association with common fights and being a grind. Put the sword on the grindstone and you gotta sharpen the edge there, and you do a lot of fighting in role-playing games. And so I think there's a magic recipe for a game like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, Earthbound, Undertale, Deltarune, which is heavily inspired by Earthbound, Pokemon, Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, where you're hearing the, I think there is a recipe there for common fight music having just really catchy tones to it, catchy notes, catchy percussion. The second I hear dun 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 dun, I'm dancing with Mario and Luigi. And I think that's its own challenge for composers, is being able to recognize, hey, can we make music? And again, not just common enemies like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, Undertale, Deltarune, Earthbound, Pokemon, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. They have really catchy boss themes, the trainer fight music, in those Pokemon games. And it obviously for Pokemon, it goes well beyond that. I haven't played the last 2 versions, mainly because I think Game Freak's been blundering with the lack of national decks, so I don't really, I don't want to buy that. But I've caught on to some of the music, and it's still sounding pretty good. But I can vouch, Gens 1 to 7, just super catchy. I mean, from the get-go, in Gen 1, it's, oh man, it's cool. And I think it's a factor that's kind of underrated. I think from an outside perspective, there's a lot of video game music where people look at the title themes, they look at the big bombastic boss fights, which I did mention, are catchy in the games I listed. But again, the title themes, credit themes, the big final boss fights in general. But really, that kind of, quote, grinding music, the common enemy music, I think isn't talked about enough. And when it starts to become something that you're seeking enemies just to hear the music again, that's 11 out of 10. Give that composer a raise. Well, I guess in Toby Fox's case, he is the director as well, but he understood the assignment. I played through the new Deltarune chapters last year, and I look forward to those fight themes over and over because it's just so much fun to listen to and do the fighting with. It's not just hey, put in a DDR song and call it a day. The songs that I'm talking about with these games, they invoke the environments with them. Again, Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, Platinum having the dun 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 dun. That it's killer. It gets you pumped, gets you engaged, and it's fun to look back at how impactful that music is. And I think if people are going to compose RPG music now, you need to understand, well, obviously there's a lot of RPGs that are more action oriented now, less turn-based, but regardless, whether it's action-based or turn-based, I think going after that kind of dance, addictive, catchy subgenre of video game music, of music to use for your common fight themes is genius, because you're most likely going to be encountering a lot of enemies on your average playthrough. So when you make your players be like, oh, here we go, oh, nice there, okay, here we go, okay, more of the the Bean Goomba enemies in Superstar Saga, let's fight. I think that's just good player engagement. So I look forward to the composers from those games and their future works. And again, for people that are looking to write their own music for a genre, and we're going outside of turn-based, I think any type of game that has enemy encounters, having pretty engaging music isn't just good for the atmosphere, but it adds a lot to the gameplay experience, because that gameplay experience is grinding. But imagine being able to grind the sword, and it's a cool aesthetic, it's a cool atmosphere. Grinding doesn't have to be a bad thing. There are people that exercise and they understand the importance of it. They appreciate being able to have a gym that has good equipment to help them. They appreciate going for a walk and appreciate the scenery around them. I do think even nowadays the word grind can have a negative connotation when it comes to improvement. But this music is so good in these RPGs that I forget I'm getting experience points. I love Mondays.